Last week in Michigan politics, a local county commissioner could face a potential recall election over her positions that some voters say are just too extreme. And the city of Grand Rapids getting pushback over proposals some say are aimed at the city's unhoused population, why one organization says they're unconstitutional. I'm Josh Alburtus, and this is your 13 on your side rundown. Thanks for joining me, West Michigan. We start in Ottawa County, where a petition was filed this past week to recall Commissioner Lucy Ebel from her position. The person who filed it attributing it to actions dating back months. Ottawa County voters taking matters into their own hands, filing a petition on Monday to recall Lucy Ebel from the county commission.
We're looking to get representation for Ottawa County that is for all of Ottawa County. A lot of the constituents in Ottawa County feel that they're not being wholly represented by the Ottawa Impact Group.
In a statement, the commission to recall Lucy Ebel claimed to be made up of voters from various politics, saying, quote, Ottawa County is historically conservative, but there are limits to what the voters will accept. Commissioner Ebel's allegiance to the Ottawa Impact PAC that elevated her into office has done a disservice to those living in the 2nd District. Lucy Ebel and Ottawa Impact are too extreme for Ottawa County. One local organization responding to that potential recall, saying that seeking to remove the commission's only Latina member risks silencing local voices.
Our organization is Latino Outreach Organization, and with them recalling Commissioner Lucy Ebel, we're disappointed because she is the first Latina to be elected onto the commission board, and so with them removing her, that's taking away the Latino voice from the commission board.
The Ottawa County Clerk's Office confirming Monday afternoon the petition had been submitted. In the petition, Park Township resident Larry Jackson citing Ebel's attempts to remove County Health Officer Adeline Hambley. Moves that the recall committee say put Ebel's constituents in Holland and Park Townships in jeopardy, and that were made alongside other commission members tied to Conservative Political Action Committee Ottawa Impact. The Clerk's Office saying Monday that the Elections Commission will have to verify that the language is clear before organizers can begin collecting signatures.
And we are just, excited that and confident that our petition language will be approved on the 17th, and we're just confident that it's clear and factual currently.
And turning now to Grand Rapids, the head of the Environmental Protection Agency visited the city on Thursday as it is replacing its 21,000 lead service lines. The EPA has granted Grand Rapids $5 million to do it. 13 on your side's Jeremiah Brown was there as officials gathered to demonstrate the work.
EPA Administrator Michael Reagan was joined by Congresswoman Hillary Skolton, Grand Rapids Mayor Rosalind Bliss, and other local and state officials for a tour of a residential lead service line replacement project.
We're able to increase the number of lead service lines that we're replacing largely because of the funding support from the state and the federal government.
Officials at all levels of government are taking steps to eliminate the use of lead in water systems.
A lot of children in our community continue to be poisoned by lead from paint. The city is also concerned about lead in water. And these efforts to both address lead in our water and lead dust, they really complement each other, and both of these efforts are critically important.
She said the city has replaced over 2,000 lead service lines this year and will replace another 4,000 thanks to support from the EPA.
The science has been clear for decades. There's absolutely no acceptable level of lead, especially not for our children. That's why President Biden and this administration has committed to removing 100% of the lead service lines as quickly as possible so that everyone in this country can turn on their tap water, pour a glass, and feel confident that it's safe to drink their water.
Reagan spoke of the Biden administration investing $50 billion towards replacing lead service lines, protecting the country's bodies of water, and building water systems that can withstand climate change.
This grant funding and additional funding that we passed through the bipartisan infrastructure law last Congress has been instrumental in removing lead pipes and investing in sustainable infrastructure across the country, particularly in neighborhoods that have experienced historic divestment.
And higher auto insurance rates went into effect this month. It comes due to higher assessment costs from the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association. For those with unlimited benefits, they will see an increase of $36 this year, and those with lower or no benefits who were paying nothing will now pay $48. According to the Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services Director Anita Fox, the increase for policyholders is legally required due to a projected shortfall for the MCCA. 13 on your side's Carla Byron talked with the department this past week on ways to help you save.
What are the best ways to shop around?
Get quotes on a number of different things. Like you mentioned, if you change your deductible, what does that do to your premium? If I change how I rely on my health insurance, does that change my premium? Another thing I'd ask is, what kind of discounts am I entitled to? And different companies may offer different discounts. Some companies say if you have a child on your policy that's getting all A's and B's, you can get a good student discount. If you belong to an alumni association, or if you work at a certain place or graduated from a certain place, you may be able to get very specialized discounts just for you, and you just need to ask.
How about deductibles?
Individual rates for a particular person are determined on a very individualized basis, and that's why it's important to shop around. So in other words, if you have, it depends on the kind of car you have, it depends on how many accidents or tickets you've had, it may depend on many things like that. So we really encourage drivers to shop around. We can make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Make sure it's the same deductible, make sure it's the same coverage limit, that the same people in your family are covered and they have the same coverages. You know, whether you want collision, which will fix your car in the event of an accident or not, that's a voluntary coverage, but something that will impact your premium, and you may need to decide how much you want.
Should I eliminate the health coverage on auto insurance to save money?
You could always coordinate your auto and health insurance so that your health paid first, so that you could lower your premiums. But now, as you mentioned, you can completely opt out and rely only on your health insurance. And that may be a good decision for some families. I will tell you that auto insurance covers additional things that health insurance doesn't. So your basic hospital costs, your doctor costs, physical therapy, those will all be covered under either in most cases. But some things like home modifications and some other things that might be part of medical benefits under a no-fault policy might be different. And that's something else you should take into account when making that decision.
When should someone consider switching their insurance to full coverage or PLPD to save money?
Again, it's very individualized for a number of reasons. One, if you have a loan on your car, you have to check with your lender and see what they require. They also sell what's called gap insurance. That is a policy that you can buy that will cover if your car ends up being, for example, totaled and it was worth less than you still owe the bank. There are insurance policies that will cover that difference so you don't end up paying on a car you can't even drive. Whether you get to a point where you don't feel you need that additional coverage, that's a great question to ask your auto insurance agent or company.
And the ACLU of Michigan this past week saying proposed ordinances in the city of Grand Rapids targeting unhoused people are unconstitutional. This week, the organization sent a letter to Grand Rapids City Commissioners and Mayor Rosalind Bliss asking them to reject the proposals. The ordinances ban tents in any public area, make it a crime to loiter or accost another person in certain places, and allow the city to seize excess property. The ACLU say the ordinances violate basic constitutional principles. A spokesperson for the city of Grand Rapids tells us the proposed changes seek to better define some previously undefined conduct, and that the focus of the changes are civil and not criminal. A public hearing on the proposed ordinances is scheduled for Tuesday afternoon at 2. And Grand Rapids isn't the only local government attempting to take action regarding its unhoused population. Pack up and leave is what Holland Township told Lifeline Ministry about their Huts for the Homeless project. Now they are trying to prevent those using the huts from being displaced once again. The ministry partnering with one local resident using her pole barn for the huts to house people off the streets until they can save enough to afford somewhere to live. This is the third property the huts have had to move to. The pastor of Lifeline spoke with 13 on Your Side this past week, saying having somewhere to stay is essential to moving these people forward.
The second thing on the application, on a job application, is address. So if you don't have an address, you can't then get a job. Say you want to go into rehab. You need medical insurance. Second thing on the application of medical insurance is a billing address.
The township's community development director said the matter remained under investigation and that the subject was that an agricultural building cannot be a place of human habitation, along with concerns over access to proper water, electric, ventilation, or sanitation facilities. The owner of that pole barn also spoke with us, saying she'd like to hear from the city about how they can make it work.
Nobody can live in those because it's unsafe. Okay, if it's unsafe, fine, help me make it safe. Help me do something so it can be safe.
Explain to us what we need to do. Provide us with the necessary tools we need to then do the right things the way they want us to do it. Provide land for us to put these huts on.
And that's your rundown for your week in Michigan politics. Be sure to keep up on all the top political stories of the day on air and online at 13onyourside.com. We'll see you next week.